Here we go.
All right, Stokastic, here we go. It's your old pal EMac coming to you on a Saturday. We've got a holiday Saturday with a little bit of NBA. There was a lot of bit of NBA yesterday, quite a bit. Tomorrow, we've got a four-gamer right now because Charlotte and Atlanta just tipped off. For those of you playing over on the blue site, that would be FanDuel. Your contest just locked, but we can still talk through all the rest of the plays. Same goes for Yahoo, which apparently is choosing to not really do GPPs every day for NBA basketball anymore. The secret site is becoming the desolate site. Matt, it's been a hot minute here. You made me do shows with Lindquist. I had to do a show with Spags. I had to do 2 shows with Greg. I'm glad to have you back here.
Yeah, we're back, man. We're back at it, the tag team. It's been a rough couple weeks for me. I won't get into the details, but a little bit of a health scare. I had some surgery on my neck, but we're back. We're feeling good. I had no voice for the past couple weeks, so I was dying to get back on here with you, and now we get back-to-back shows. So ready for the weekend to really get started.
It's going to be a good one here. We have a little bit of news, a lot of bit of strategy, and that's what we get with short slates. So we're going to go game by game tonight since we have the luxury of time. Things are sort of semi-staggered here. We've got a 7 o'clock game, a 7:30 game, and a 9 o'clock game, and then a 9:30 game. So there's a window. There's an actual like an intermission gap. There could potentially be a second or two where there's no basketball game going on. If these games were at 10 o'clock, there would for sure be some time.
Oh no, what will we ever do?
I mean, we could watch a little bit of some Christmas movies or something like that. Maybe perhaps make some leftover turkey sandwiches, etc., etc. Did you do turkey for Thanksgiving? That's a new popular question these days.
Yeah, we always do turkey, the standard Thanksgiving. I'll tell you what, though, I love Thanksgiving as a holiday, but growing up, I was always like, man, this is the best meal ever. I've slowly grown out of that. I like the meal. It's fine, but I'm not like ever going out of my way to eat that stuff. So I like it. I like seeing family, it gets old pretty quick, but yeah, we did turkey. So no crazy stuff over here.
I see. We just had one other couple here with us. So we did baked ziti. Usually we went away from it maybe 15 years ago and do just different things. Sometimes we get to get filet mignon if we're feeling.
A lot of people are doing that these days.
Yeah, we do that, or we do. A lot of times it's pasta, or some. My wife has a couple Italian dishes that are family recipes. Maybe we do those. So we shake it up a little bit. But I think when I was a kid, it was always about the mashed potatoes and gravy because you could just have as much as you wanted, which was key.
Right.
And then all the desserts, right? All the pies, all the cakes, all the good stuff. So those were my favorite.
I will say I did a 33 hour brine for the first time ever. I usually brine for like 12 hours, and I had every single person tell me I had the best, juiciest turkey. Use that quote for what you wish, but yeah, the brine makes a huge difference for all you people out there that hate turkey and say it's dry. A brine keeps it super Joyce. Hey, shout out Nathan Joyce in chat. Back to you guys.
All right. Well, key things to understand about that. You were in Philadelphia, right?
Yeah, Philly.
And
Which I think I'm going to have to stay in Philly because I was supposed to leave tomorrow. I'm going to the Bills San Fran game, which is across the street from my house. As some of you know, I live in Philly and Buffalo. And we are in the midst of getting 70, yes, with a 70 inches of snow at my house. So I might be here for a little bit.
All right. And you cooked a bird that you brined for 33 hours.
I did.
Would that be a Larry bird? 33?
No, that's good. That would be a go bird.
I'm just saying you had a bunch of Philly people saying, I love this turkey. It was amazing. It was the Larry Bird brine. Okay.
Sixers fans, probably not the biggest Celtics fans, but what do I know?
All right. Let's move into the shows. Okay, so looking at our news, Giannis Antetokounmpo is probable. He has missed some time here and there with a sore knee. For the Wizards, no Kyle Kuzma. It looks like Jordan Poole is going to be back. Do we get a pool party or not today? I don't know. Joel Embiid is still out. We have Paul George, our game time decision. He's been dealing with his own left knee issue. We, of course, should have that news prior to tip-off. We'll talk about the ramifications of that, but the important things to note is he has missed the last 3 games. He was playing, when healthy, low 30s for his minutes. Do you know how many teams are worse than the 76ers this year, Belman, in the standings?
Not many. You know what? I'm gonna say none.
One,
Okay.
and it's the Washington Wizards by
Okay.
1 game.
That
Philly is the
makes sense.
second worst, and then there's 2 teams that have 1 win more than them. They're trying, and the Wizards are like, you know what? I think Kuzma's hurt, right? We don't want to let these Philly folks get close. Just seeing if Mike's still listening. So no Kuzma tonight, and then the other wild card is Steph Curry. So we're gonna have to see. I think he plays tonight, but he has been dealing with some knee issues himself. Phoenix is favored by 2.5 at home. So we've seen the Warriors be pretty good. Again, we're going to be off air before we get that news. You also have Andrew Wiggins, Bradley Beal, and Yusuf Nurkic questionable in that game. So for those of you that left it late swap, you're going to have some opportunities with that. And then the final game of the night, Luka doubtful, but could return tomorrow. He has been dealing with a sprained wrist. They knew he was going to take a week off, but he has been getting closer to a return. Klay Thompson, Jordan Clarkson, and Kyle Filipowski are all out. Lauri Markkanen and Colin Sexton are back. We'll have to wait and see what the starting lineup is going to be for Utah, but we'll talk through that. Circling us back here to the early game here. How are you feeling about Philadelphia? And is McCain going to make it rain?
So I'll tell you, as this slate stands right now, you kind of did a good job of breaking down how the 4 games are staggered. And man, there's just news we're waiting on in the late games. I already think the later games are more appealing, specifically Utah, Dallas. I think there's tons of pieces you can go to in that game. So I don't love the Philly game. I think there's definitely good plays. Like, don't get me wrong. Certainly Tyrese Maxey stands out, but I will be okay. And again, I'm only playing 1 lineup tonight because we're doing the show. I'll be okay if I have no one from the first game, just because I like a lot from the other 3 games. So again, Maxey, I think is my favorite play. But I think that he's like the clear top guy, and then it falls off after him. How about yourself?
Yeah, it's one of those where even though we've got some missing people here, it's semi-stabilized. So you've got Tyrese Maxey. He's going to be on about a third of DraftKings lineups, it looks like. Again, FanDuel has locked, but we'll talk about where they stand on that as well, because there's still some moving parts there. On that one, Maxey drops all the way down to sub 10%. He's looking just at the edge there in single digit popularity. Jared McCain, on the other hand, looks incredibly enticing on FanDuel. He has at 6,500, whereas on DraftKings, he kind of flips at 7,300. You get the rare time where DraftKings is more expensive. He's a near lock. I forget if he's 21 or 23 on Yahoo. If you got into any of their contests, they were like 10 and 15-man contests. What a shit show over there. But McCain is the guy I like. He's not going to keep up this torrid shooting pace, but at least there's a bright spot in this whole debacle of the Philadelphia season. And he's definitely it. He's almost different playing styles, etc. But it's like uncovering another Tyrese Maxey. And who can be mad about that? Will he continue? He's got a long way to go. Could he win Rookie of the Year? Yeah, he's definitely in the mix right now. All-Star? We'll see. Might be a few years away from that. But
He's not making the All-Star team.
Not this year, but ever. Do you think he's that kind of talent?
Yeah, definitely that kind of talent.
Sort of the Lauri Markkanen. He'll put it together 1 year, do just enough to make it and get one, is my guess.
I mean, maybe that could even be underrating him. I'm just saying this year there's no shot.
Yeah. Long way to go. But that's really it, because there's going to be other value plays we like besides Yabusele. So he's a decent option. He's not bad on the short player pool, but he's not amazing. Andre Drummond. Apparently, Father Time did catch him. Actually, Father Time, I think, lapped him. And he's not even really getting the efficiency with his limited minutes, and now that he gets a few more minutes without Embiid, he's still a functional player, but not the 40-point smash every couple games we were hoping for. But perhaps he's pacing himself because he knows he has to play a lot this season. But yeah, otherwise Philadelphia is sort of limited here on our options. It's really just looking like the backcourt, and then Caleb Martin, jack of all trades there, can kind of do a little bit of everything, but it's burning a power forward spot on DraftKings. And I would prefer if he was a small forward or a shooting guard, but he doesn't have those eligibilities. So that's kind of it for Philly. For me, it's a lot of McCain, or I'm playing one lineup on Yahoo. McCain is in that lineup. And then I'll probably be 15 to 20%.
Caleb Martin ruled out.
All right. Good times. Well, we'll circle back on that one. Let's continue to the other side here. Let's talk a little bit of Detroit. They laid it down last night. We saw Cade Cunningham look amazing. He is coming into the mix again tonight. He had missed a few games there. I forget what his injury was. I think it was a lower back issue. But he has returned, looked no worse for the wear, played, if I remember correctly, 32 or 33 minutes last night. They didn't really push him too much. The team, is still in the mix for the play-in turn, or the in mid-season tournament, and they got some point differential last night. So talk to me a little bit about Detroit here.
I feel kind of similar about Detroit as I do Philly. Cade Cunningham is the clear top piece from Detroit, excuse me. But he's 1,800 more than Maxey. Projects a little bit better, but not 1,800 better, or 1,500. Yeah, no, 1,800 better, excuse me. So I think Maxey is the clear better value play. Cunningham always has upside. He's having a good year, and he's coming in low owned. I don't see a lot from Detroit after that because they got their guys back. Tobias Harris, revenge. I'm never really excited about playing him. I think that the pieces start to open up, like if Paul George gets ruled out with Caleb Martin. But, from the Detroit side, I'm not seeing much outside of Cunningham as a spend-up option. And I just don't want to allocate those funds to a player I like but don't love in an early game when I like the later spots a lot more.
No, and that absolutely makes sense. And with Detroit, it's been sort of interesting having the change to have Tobias Harris there, to have Tim Hardaway Jr. They're still kind of rotating their front court, their pivot positions. We're seeing Cade do quite well. You've got Jaden Ivey looking like a pretty strong play, but when everybody's healthy there's not that same value that we used to get the last 2 or 3 years. Remember when they were tanking and just playing players every other game in waves. So hopefully this is them embarking on a chance to make the postseason, if not at least the play-in tournament this year. So I'd like to see what they've done with their talent. I found it kind of interesting that they brought in Hardaway and Tobias Harris, but even when you look at Hardaway, he's hardly playing starters minutes, even though he is starting in a lot of these games. All right, less exciting moment there. We'll see what the tools look like when they are updated for the Caleb news here. I see we've got some friends there in chat. Shout out to Lee B. Calicor. I see Sotex is in there as well. Good times, everybody. Let me take a peek here because I want to remind everybody that we have some interesting deals here because it's the holidays, so it's the time of giving. So here is a chance for us to give back to you by utilizing some promo codes here. So we've got 2 real good ones. So we'll talk about these probably twice because it's so good you're going to want seconds on this one. But the first one is 50% off any single sport core or max package with the promo code Black Friday. This promotion ends tomorrow at midnight. So if you want to get 50% off a 1-month package of basketball, now would be the time to do it. Football gets you towards the playoffs. Not a bad deal. Check that one out. And then over at OddsShopper, you also get a 75% discount. I'm surprising Mike with this one, but you get a 75% discount for a 1-month subscription by using the promo code THANKS. So there you go. 2 really good deals. Remember, those expire at midnight tomorrow night. All right, game number 2 here. Washington at Milwaukee. I mentioned Middleton not quite ready for his return. Kyle Kuzma is out. Jordan Poole is playing. Poole missed 3 games with a sore hip. He came back, and it was not a pool party. He drowned, actually, on the court. 1 for 7. That wasn't from 3-point range. That was his whole body of work in the last game. 1 for 7. So let's start off on the Washington side since they are the visitors. Milwaukee is almost 15-point favorites, depending on where you look. Earlier today, they were 15.5. Now they're 14.5. But what are you liking here from Washington? Because it sure isn't a lot.
Yeah, I mean, per the tools, Jordan Poole looks good and he's getting ownership.
But per the box scores, he does not
Yeah.
look good.
No, I mean, I'm not going out of my way to play Washington here. I wouldn't like X them out of my pool if I were playing 150 in one lineup. In my opinion, really tough to prioritize Washington, except for Poole, I guess. Now, the only thing I'll say to that is like Giannis is clearly the highest projected player on the slate, getting a lot of love. For Giannis to really have a true upside game, you feel like Washington needs to keep it at least somewhat close. Even if Milwaukee covers the spread, there's ways where this game stays close enough for guys to get all their run. That's obviously what you're looking for with Giannis. Now, from the Washington side, I don't know. I mean, Poole to a lesser extent, Keyshawn George. These guys look a little bit better in the tools than I think they do. On that same, on the other side of the coin, though, like I just said, for Giannis to really get there, I think one or two of these Wizards at least is going to get there. So it just depends on how you think this game plays out. I don't think you have to play any Wizards if you play Giannis, but I think that they start to look better if you play Giannis.
Yeah, and that's really what it comes down to. This is sort of the prisoner's dilemma, if you will. It's, do I trust the Wizards to sort of be pesky? Yeah, I would have if Kyle Kuzma was playing. I don't know so much now. I mean, they would still lose. Even with Kuzma, they would still probably be 12.5-point underdogs or whatever, but at least it could push the Milwaukee starters. They'd have a much better chance of being pushed. The other things we got to worry about with Milwaukee is with Giannis. Of course, he's been dealing with sore knees. They would prefer to not have to play him on back-to-backs, or if things aren't great, they want to give him a day off, if at all possible. So they don't play again until Tuesday. He missed the game this Tuesday. So he missed the game 72 hours ago. Whatever it was, I'm not going to do math. The 26th, 4 days ago, he missed that game. Somehow in Miami, Damian Lillard willed the team to victory, 106-103. That was just like Glenn Rivers looking like he was going to take a schedule loss there. And lo and behold, they were able to get it done. Tonight, they can put this one in the bag. Then they have a nice, easy stretch with Washington tonight. Next Tuesday is Detroit. Wednesday is Atlanta. So that back-to-back, that's future us problem. That's not today's problem. And then next Friday, they've got a measuring stick game in Boston against the Celtics. So this is a good spot where you'd like to think we can get 40, 45, 50 fantasy points probably out of Giannis under most circumstances, unless the team is just absolutely crushing and he barely crests over 40. But getting him to 60 could be a bit of a stretch tonight. Now, he still is the number one projected player when it comes to median fantasy output, but perhaps moving away from him in some contests and going down one level, up from one of the punts. And now you've got a unique lineup build. So that's one of the things we're going to have to think about today. But finding someone from the Wizards, Poole has 4 games of at least 40 fantasy points and 1 of 50. But that means he's only been over 40 fantasy points 5 times in his 15 games. 3 times of those 15 games, he's been below 20 fantasy points. That's not good. He was supposed to be the king of garbage time there with Kyle Kuzma. It just hasn't happened. You got Alex Sarr, who's pretty interesting here. Foul's always going to be an issue. Be fun to see how he goes against Brook Lopez in this one. He has been putting up some great numbers, but he too is between the 40 and the 20 fantasy point outcomes here. Now, a little more exciting with him than Poole because we're not nearly paying full freight for that type of production, but he can torpedo your lineups real quick. Plus, Jonas Valanciunas always waiting in the wings. But he really plays maybe around 20 minutes for the Wizards. So even though he's had a couple good, Joval fantasy games, you go look at the minutes and you're like, ooh, I don't think he's going to do that very frequently if he's only playing less than half the game. And then we've got Malcolm Brogdon. True or false? Malcolm Brogdon used to play for the Milwaukee Bucks.
I mean, obviously true.
2016 Rookie of the Year.
Yeah.
Remember me spot? Yeah, maybe not. But he is reasonable. But the team, even as a starter, doesn't look like they want to play more than 24 to 26 minutes because he's going to spontaneously combust. And would it surprise you if they take the former Virginia Cavalier product and not worry about the semi-connection to one of the local-ish colleges and ship him for something by the trade deadline to a contender? Probably not. So he's kind of going to be in bubble wrap. And then you got Keyshawn George, rookie who's barely averaging half a fantasy point per minute over his last 6 games. It's a mess. You've got Carlton Carrington III, little Bub Carrington there. He's not very exciting. I just kind of shit all over the entire Wizards roster here. And it felt good as being a reformed Washington Wizards fan here. What is there anything you can take away from this besides a terrifying Jordan Poole? And maybe we get lucky with Alex Sarr.
No, I mean, again, I'm with you on J-Val. Like, he just doesn't play enough minutes. The tools like him, and he's getting ownership, so maybe I'm just off there. I will say Keyshawn George is my favorite play. Small forward and power forward eligible at 4,400. And I just think he looks like a solid, like, cog in the machine type. And I'll say this about Giannis, like, in your scenarios, like, I think Giannis could get 60 even in, like, the not playing the whole game scenario, because obviously if that happens, Milwaukee is rolling and Giannis probably had something to do with that. But I don't think he's getting to like the 70s in that case, which is probably what you need at 12K to win a tournament tonight. Maybe not considering his ownership, but in my opinion, like that's what you're shooting for when you're spending 12K in tournaments.
So here's the interesting thing to talk about Giannis. Right now, the pat answer is, yeah, play him in your cash games and your main lineups because that's what you want to do. You're looking for the raw points. So it's a fun thought exercise here on the forgotten site Yahoo. And I use that as an example because it's basically the same dozen lobby bosses that are in all these 10-man and 20-man contests here. And they play very similar lineups. This usually pays out top 3. So like I'm looking at this today, the lineup literally built itself, which means it's probably going to be duplicated amongst these guys. I was trying to figure out the easiest way to get different from them is to not play Giannis. Try to work into Spencer Dinwiddie. Then all of a sudden I have the ability to drop down at forward. Maybe I'm looking at a Kevin Durant type, and then I'm upgrading. The problem is there's just dog shit at center. There's nobody really exciting because you're looking at Brook Lopez, Yusuf Nurkic, of the center only players. Derek Lively, but he's got Daniel Gafford back in the mix. So it's just a bunch of ridiculous stuff. Maybe you take a chance on Walker Kessler, but now he's got 2 of his front court members back. It's just a real mess there. So it's like, I know they're going to play Lopez. I know they're going to play Antetokounmpo. Do I change off that in this prove it situation? And these are the decisions you've got to make in these contests. And I think it's kind of fun. So I just bring that up. Yeah, the Sims and all that fun stuff when I'm building out my 100 lineups. So yeah, I'm going to take what they are giving me. But in some of these situations here, that's the thought process we need to look at. But that's a larger continuation of raw points. What do you want to do? Heavy overlap. And this isn't a large field contest. And when you're saying prove it, when you know most of the other people in your game all have the super veteran badge, it's like, I know what they're going to do. Or do I? Or do they know what I'm going to do? So clearly you cannot drink. I cannot take the cup in front of you, Matt, because only an irrational person would put the poison in the cup in front of them. All right. Back to wrapping up this game. Let's talk about Dame Lillard. Is it Dame time? He missed 3 games by being in the concussion protocol. So he has come back here very strong. So in his 5 games since then, he's averaging 36.1 minutes, 26 points, 4.2 rebounds, 9.8 assists, and just shy of 1 combined block and steal. The points are very, very nice. He can drop those down. We've also seen him be a decent rebounder from time to time, not the Steph Curry type. pretty good rebounder for his size, but Dame can get in the mix there. So against a team like Washington, you could see him pop off for 5 or 6 tonight. And that's the extra fantasy points there. But I think Lillard is an interesting option. What do you have at Lillard and anything else from the Bucks? They're also one of these consolidated type teams because after that, it's like Gary Trent, maybe. Ooh, hold my nose.
Man, I love Lillard here. I just feel like on this slate, because of what you talked about, how weak center is, it's almost easier to get to Giannis today because there's so many good guards and there just isn't that much in the front court, specifically at center, to love. I love pivoting off of Giannis to Dame. Dame is playing really good ball right now. And I like him here, especially in a game against a team that doesn't play any defense. If Giannis isn't like doesn't go crazy tonight, then Dame probably does. So I like Dame a lot. I'm not sure I'm going to play him in my one lineup, but if I were playing 150, I'd be over the field, and I might play him in my one lineup if I can make it work.
All right. For those of you, we've got 31 minutes and we're halfway through the slate. We have 2 games left. So if we're meandering a little bit, we're going to do that because we're in charge here. This is Saturday. Saturdays, we play by slightly different rules. For those wondering, it is a delicious chilled coffee, cold brew. That is what I get, either the Dunkin' Donuts variety or Green Mountain. Those are usually what my wife orders on Amazon. So I get a big giant box of them. And then I work my way through it. That is my preferred drink of choice. I do not like hot beverages. I'm kind of sensitive towards hot beverages, Matt. So by the time I can drink soup or tea or coffee, it's kind of tepid, and that's not very tasty. So I drink cold brew.
I respect that.
Mike, you got vodka? Yes. Well, little hair of the dog for Mike here. Yeah, I had 8.5 hours of sleep last night, a nice 2-hour nap today, but I was still feeling a little peckish, so I decided to have some coffee because it's more fun when I have coffee. Shout out to Chris Williams here for being the Apple guy. They're looking for a little DK ownership there on the screen share. If you want to give them a little love there, producer Mike, because it is the holidays, so let's all be nice and friendly towards one another. It would be much more fun and a much more pleasant world if we were doing it that way. All right, let's see here. Who was I giving crap to? Yeah, it's me. You think I ever really get mad at anybody? Come on. And I've been here long enough that I wear the tomatoes well, the rotten vegetables, as everybody throws them at me. That's part of the job, right? Part of the charm. It's just sort of what happens here. Let's take a peek here at our next game. So we have questionable things here. We've got Steph Curry. We're not sure what his availability is going to be. Same thing with Andrew Wiggins. On the Phoenix side, Bradley Beal and Yusuf Nurkic. My expectation is probably everybody plays, would be my guess on this one. Nurkic is just, you're going to get some good games. You're going to get some bad games. They sort of, same with Beal, you kind of run both of them into the ground in the early going of the season, along with Devin Booker and Kevin Durant. So no surprise there that some of these guys are getting soft tissue injuries because all 4 of them kind of been dealing with soft tissue injuries for the last half decade. And then Beal, even back to that, remember when his ankles and shins were literally made out of paper mache? Then he went, back-to-back years with 82 games, got himself the bag, and then decided he wasn't really a fan of playing basketball. So that happens sometimes. But with all those guys back and Golden State team that somehow is actually pretty good on defense. Hat tip to Steve Kerr there for working some mojo. What do you like from this one? Because this is the sort of sprinkle them in, Matt. We've got some really good players. No obvious situations, assuming everybody's at full health. All bets are off if people start falling by the wayside here. And it is Saturday, and that happens. And weird shit happens on the NBA on Saturdays. But what do you like here from this game? I'm gonna turn the whole game over to you because there are many paths this one can take.
I think this is a game to pick studs off of, especially if you're not playing Giannis. Competitive game here. I expect Curry to play. The verbiage out there is like he's more likely to play than not. We'll see if that happens. If he's out, then we get a lot of Golden State value, and that's part of the reason I want to backload and play a lot of the last game, because if Curry's out, then like Podziemski, Wiggins is also questionable. So like there could be a lot opening up in Golden State. Golden State could look like by far the best team on the slate. We just don't know it yet. So for me, I'm willing to risk it because I already like the last game more anyways. So in that case, I'll play a lot of the last game, and then if we get Golden State news, pivot off that as opposed to playing the early stuff when I don't even love it. So yeah, this game for me as of right now on the Phoenix side, you can play Durant, you can play Booker. I prefer Durant on this slate because of the forward eligibility as opposed to guard. He's a little bit cheaper from when Booker was playing without those guys. Grayson Allen, fine filler at 4K. Don't really see much else. And then Golden State, if everyone's in, tough to get to them. If Curry's out and Wiggins is in, everyone looks better, Wiggins included. If they're both out, I mean, again, Pajemski, Lindy Waters. I don't love Draymond when Steph is out, but in this spot, I don't hate him. Kaminga, Moody, all of them are going to start to look really good. They're going to look even better than Dallas, in my opinion, because Dallas, while they do look really good, their prices have started to rise. Golden State guys are still really cheap. So if the news breaks, I think you're going to want a lot of Golden State personally. Do you see it similarly?
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. And that's kind of where, as we're starting to get it back into this whole pesky strategy thing here on a shorter slate, as we are less enthralled with the first two games, it's because of the unknown in this Golden State game. And we're looking, what, 2 hours and 26 minutes until tip off. It's a long time. We just got the latest news dump and really nothing has changed there because like they aren't even doing this is like pre-shoot around practice. This is when the very injured players are out there on the court right now working with the trainers. They're not even at the point of shoot around yet on the West Coast. So we aren't even getting boots on the ground information there. So that's the unknown. And you guys hear Greg talk about it. You hear Lindquist ad nauseum talk about it. But this is the unknown that allows you to take advantage of the rest of the field. And in a lot of cases, it's not just taking advantage of the rest of the field. It's protecting yourself against the savvy gamers that are still around, because we have about 4 more weeks until it's just going to be the Sharks versus the Sharks. So you want to start getting used to understanding how to pivot on this news while there's still some easy money there. It's holidays, right? We get a little bit of easier money this weekend. You see it on the DK, NFL. They were boost pricing up and down the showdowns, all the different slates of the tournaments is because they got all the casuals coming back in. So they're making it a little easier for NBA as well tonight. Enjoy that, but prepare yourself to be able to take advantage of this, because this is setting up for a nice ripe situation that if things go a little wonky or sideways, or there is a bit of a surprise, we can pivot on that, right? We can jump after that and just know any of the Sharks that are playing tonight, they're all waiting on this. So who do you want to go against, right? The Sharks that aren't hanging out with their family, or they're terrified hiding in a basement bathroom somewhere. Just, oh, Sonny, I had too much bad turkey. I'll be a few more minutes here, as they're trying to set their lineups on their computer. Or do you want to go against the casuals, right? We want to go against the casuals, but keep tabs on all of this here. But I agree with you. If something breaks here, if a Nurkic is out, that introduces Plumlee. Right?
I think all the Phoenix guys are probable. So
I think they're all probable
about that side. I'm more talking about the Golden State side.
Yeah, Grayson Allen. That's another guy that can emerge.
Yeah, he's fine.
On the Golden State side, Wiggins is interesting. Wiggins and everybody healthy, not so much interesting. Wiggins out, there's Kuzma. There's Trace Jackson Davis. There is, I'm blanking on their other point guards / guard / small forwards name there. The secondary player, I should have my roster up there, but those are the guys that get the path to the goodness there, and that's what we want to pay attention to. But the only thing we want to remember, I'm going to speak this into existence for Showdown, just for Chris Williams. Under no circumstances will Moses Moody have a good game. That just doesn't happen. They could be down to their last 5 players, and Chris like, yo, Mo, you look a little tired. Why don't you hit the bench for a little while? That's kind of what happens. I don't know. That's what it feels like. I mean, I don't think he hates him. It seems like, but there we are. Chris Williams.
Sixers lineup just came in.
Okay, cool. We'll circle back to the Sixers. We'll wrap up our thoughts on the final game, circle back, answer any questions. We should have plenty of time for that because we're now 75% of the way through the slate. Chris Williams, everybody's favorite Apple guy, dropping a $20 super chat, says, just giving a shout out to EMac, Matt, and Mike for taking time out of their day to host a free show to give advice that will help potentially make life-changing money. That's what we do to the many non-Muppets. That's why we do here. That's what we do. I'm going to paraphrase for you. For the many Muppets that are watching, because we had another person win $1 million again. And Alex Baker, for Awesome, right? Started this side, founded this side as Awesome. He won his second $1 million last Sunday in the 555 Millie Maker. And then we had, I can't think of his name, but 3 weeks ago. So we have 3 Millie Maker winners from this. That's amazing. It's amazing. The Sims. I mean, if you guys want to get in, and we want to give you guys a chance to get in on the cheap, 50% off any package. You can get the max package, any sports, single sport package, 50% off by using promo code Black Friday. Get in on the fun. Also, on OddsShopper, 75% off by using the promo code Thanks for 1 month. But use promo code Black Friday here. 50% off any core or max subscription, single sport. This expires at midnight tomorrow night. All right, the final game of the night. This is where it gets fun. We've got
Real quick.
Yes.
Before we get to the last game, because that is the best game, obviously. Andre Drummond starting, was that expected?
No, because you see who's on the bench, Jared McCain.
Oh yeah, I didn't even.
Yeah, so I got to start looking at that pesky Yahoo
because
side.
it is
some of my
big time,
rosters here.
And it is big time Drummond revenge if you're into that sort of thing.
Oh,
he
yeah.
wanted to be in Detroit. They did not want him.
He loves Detroit.
He wanted to be in Cleveland. After all, they did not want him. But come on. Now he's stuck in Philadelphia. But at least he doesn't have to face, except in practice, though. Embiid never practices, his arch rival. So this feels a little bit of a remember me potential here. I just said some horrible things about him not being up for these games, just going through the motions. Perhaps not tonight, but I didn't see him and Yabusele starting together, especially at the expense of McCain. Now, is this a crowd gets into it, he still plays his 26 to 28 minutes? Maybe. But he is back in Motown. All right, last game here. We don't expect to see Luka Doncic. Maybe we get him tomorrow. Daniel Gafford is back. Klay Thompson is out. So those are the few moving parts here for Dallas. Key things to remember, or key things that are interesting, is Kyrie Irving has been getting a fair amount of help facilitating the offense from Spencer Dinwiddie, a little bit from Grimes, etc. Here, he in his last 10 games, I'm going from memory now, I believe he has 6 assists in 8 of them, 5 in one and 7 in the other. But 8 of his last 10 games, he has exactly 6 assists. That's noise. That's a random number. But one, I was recommending the under on his 6.5 and his 7.5 assists that are out there on the different sports wagering sites. But if you look at him, he's not really pouring in the points. He's not really doing a lot of dominating fantasy production. He's just kind of helping wherever he needs to be. And that's what he's doing this year. He's missed 1 game. We are seeing a different Kyrie Irving attitude this year than what we have in the past. But it is coming at the expense of his fantasy production when Luka is out, which is a little bit of a surprise here. What are you feeling about the Dallas side?
The Dallas side looks probably like the best side on the slate to me right now. Their prices are up, but not as high as they should be in a spot like this. I like Kyrie a lot. He's probably the least important piece for me, considering he's 9,700. Dinwiddie is just a lock on this slate, in my opinion. I think you just play him at 4,300. Grimes, I don't love, but the thing about this slate is shooting guard and small forward are really weak. So I don't mind playing Grimes and Najee Marshall just to eat those spots. And then if Podziemski becomes in play, if Curry's out, can just flip Grimes to Podziemski. I hardly ever play Grimes, but he's like in a newish role now with Dallas, especially with Luka out. He plays a ton of minutes because of his defensive abilities. So in a spot like this, I'm fine with playing a ton of Dallas. My favorite piece is PJ Washington. He's just playing really good ball right now. Fast pace in this spot, should get a ton of rebound opportunities, scoring opportunities. 7K, I just think is a little bit too cheap for him right now. And that's pretty much it. Dinwiddie, Marshall, Grimes, Washington, Kyrie. I like all of them.
So Marshall has been, I'm running out of superlatives here, phenomenal, amazing, unbelievable. over the last few games. So over the last 4 games with Doncic out, he is averaging 37.5 minutes, 18.3 points, almost 11 rebounds, just shy of 4 assists, and 3.1 combined blocks and steals. Those are all kind of apex numbers for him. He's kind of one of those chip in and do, 8 rebounds, 7 rebounds, 6 rebounds, 17 rebounds. His bi-monthly just earth-shattering performance. He's done that in the last 4 games. Also, when Doncic was out one other game, 6 games ago, I think Washington pushed for 50 fantasy points in that one. So he's been doing phenomenal here, just kind of doing a little bit of everything and sort of help picking up that scoring slack that I said wasn't really going that much to Curry. So I think he is awesome. Spencer Dinwiddie has slid into the mix here. Now he's kind of bounced around the league, been semi-unwanted at this point, but in a situation like this where he can come in and even if he's coming off the bench, help facilitate the offense and let Irving be off ball, that makes it interesting for him. I mean, he's in play for half a dozen assists there. That's pretty fun when you start to think about it. So those 2 guys I think are the best options. Dinwiddie and Washington are the ones I like the best. I get the Kyrie thing. I just, I'm going in different spots tonight. Now I'll still have ample representation in my 150 lineups, but I was building out my decision point lineup. He's not in it. He wasn't even close to being a consideration, which surprised me. But Dinwiddie was off the bench, and now that's the spot I'm rethinking because of McCain coming off the bench. We'll get to that in just a second here. The thing is in the front court, a little bit crowded now with Gafford back. So we get kind of getting, what do you think? Somebody's getting 26 and somebody's getting 22 minutes. Is that your guess for Gafford and Lively?
Yeah, I'm good on both of them in my one lineup. If I were playing 150, I'd have exposure, but it's your guess is as good as mine as to who gets more minutes here, whoever's playing better. I would presume Lively, but who knows? And I like this spot for everyone else better than the centers. Even though center's weak, I think you can play either of them. I'm not looking to play either of them. My biggest problem with Kyrie also in like one lineup, it's like, man, I also like Dame and Cunningham. I like Kyrie and Dame more than Cunningham, but between those 2, Dame and Kyrie, I don't really want to have to choose between them, so I probably won't play either.
All right, last team of the night here. Jordan Clarkson missing his 3rd game with a sore left foot. Kyle Filipowski, the rookie, out with his 4th game with the sore ankle. John Collins is back. He missed the last one with the knee issue. Lauri Markkanen back. He missed the last one with the knee/personal issue. Colin Sexton injured the ring finger on his left hand. He is right-handed. But he is probable. The wild card here is while we have seen, Collins and Markkanen and Kessler start together, the way we've only seen that a couple times in this recent stretch since Collins rejoined the lineup because Kessler was out, then Markkanen was out, and then Collins was out himself. Do you think we get those 3 in the front court tonight? And would it matter to you if they slot in I don't know who it would be, a Bryce Sensabaugh or somebody else? In there. What are you feeling about let's start with the front court first here.
I don't think it'll be sensible because they didn't even start him last game. Man, Collins is playing really good ball right now. So I think this is also news we have to wait on. As of right now, I like Collins a lot. I mean, he is just balling right now, and I like this game. He's not starting, though. I mean, he's 7,200. Might make me rethink that position, So again, this is why I want exposure to the late game for Golden State news and Utah news. Just, I think it's worth it on tonight's slate. Not saying there aren't pieces to like in the first 2 games, but the last game in particular, I want as much exposure to this game as I can get because even if Collins is not starting, I'd like to be able to find a way to get to Markkanen in that case. I think you can play them both. Just a lot to like overall from Utah. From the guard side, Keontae George looks like another really strong play at the point guard position. That's why I'm having trouble getting to the likes of Dame with Dinwiddie and Keontae George both looking really, really good at cheap price points. Just overall, a lot to like about this game. Kind of hate that it's the late game, but it is what it is.
It makes this all exciting. It's what keeps us going here. I'm trying to figure out. This is just going to be an interesting spot here across the board. All right, enough about that. Anything else from this game, or shall we circle back to Philadelphia? Let's see if we've got, now that we have their starting line.
Yeah, we got to go back to Philly.
All right, so let's see how things shook out. So on DraftKings, I'm looking at the ownership here. You guys,
First off, before you even get into it, who is a better play, Drummond or Yabusele?
it is almost a true coin flip, and I'm sure that's why you were asking me. I would
Eileen
Yabusele
Drummond,
because
but
yeah, but Yabusele's got the power forward eligibility.
on a lot of slates that would matter. On this one, for me, it doesn't.
Okay.
But I agree with you. I think you can use that as like the coin flip. But if that doesn't matter, I feel like for me it's Drummond. That could be off, but Drummond in this spot could just go massive with the rebounds.
Can we get a live look in from a true Philadelphia fan on his thoughts with Yabusele?
I love Yabusele. I'm happy he's on our team. It was a little surprise for me. I think if I agree, it's probably a flip of the coin. I would go with Matt and maybe take that little Detroit, remember
Just
me
a little
thing.
something. Just a little something.
Yeah. Like, even if he wanted to stay there, that's almost kind of more reason to be like, yo, assholes, you let me go and just, maybe you get one of those crazy 26 rebound games. Or maybe you don't. I don't know. But I do think it's pretty close as a Sixers fan. But I do love my man. I'm happy he's on our team.
All right. Well, breaking news. Good thing we came back to this game. Good thing we allowed enough time, even with my little side departures here, because we got some Saturday shenanigans. Cade Cunningham is now out.
Stop it.
Shout out to Tom, CEO.
Stop it.
The real boss man. Well, my boss man. The real boss man, of course, Alex. Make your butt. Tom working the projections tonight. So, hey, things just got a little spicy.
Yeah, real spicy. All right, the only thing about that, why it's not as spicy as it could be, they just played a bunch of games or a couple games without Cade. He's only been back for one game. So, like, their prices are still up. So, certainly I like Jaden Ivey a lot more now, but he's not, low 6K. He's 7K. So, man, yeah, that changes the slate for sure, though. I mean, yeah.
So here am I, like, who do you like as your best? So obviously Cade is out. We do have the Pistons. Oh, the Pistons are going to have to give us a new starting lineup because that was from 10 minutes ago. Philadelphia, we've already talked about that. Who do you like as the best center tonight? Best center only player tonight?
Man,
Where do you put, or in a different way, where do you put Dern against Drummond? And
Dern has one of the biggest minute volatilities in the entire league. You just look at his game log, it speaks for itself. I'm going to say Drummond. Like, he's still cheap. I think there's a ton of opportunities for him to fill up the box score here. So center only, I'm going to say Drummond at 5,500. I mean, again, like, he's not maybe the same guy we've seen in years past, but even like last year, Drummond starting at 5,500 would be the lock of all locks. The more I talk about it, the more I'm just going to play Drummond. I think that people aren't as high on Drummond as they probably should be.
How do you feel now about, I mean, where, like, if you're moving away from Giannis and now Cade is no longer one of our options to go to, who fits next? McCain kind of is out of the mix, I would say, as well. I mean, what do you do? Is it Lillard? Do you roll the dice with Curry with that questionable tag?
I like Lillard. Man, I mean, that's a good question.
Okay, Lillard or Irving straight up? There's an easy way to ask that since I know you're scrambling on your stuff here. Lillard or Irving straight up?
I will say Irving straight up because he has the shooting guard eligibility, but I think it's really, really a dead heat. And sorry about the noise in the background.
All right. Let's see if I got any last questions here. Lauri Markkanen. Am I putting Markkanen in my lineups?
Oh, that's what I wanted to ask you. Who do you like more if they're both starting? Markkanen or Collins? Like, it's just like Dame versus Kyrie for me.
Neither.
Okay.
Wish I would have played somebody else. Yikes. Yeah.
They're both good. I mean,
they're both good. They're both solid. Either one could easily crest into 45 fantasy points. Either one could easily fall below 30. And they could both fall below 30.
They
Both
could
of them
both
getting,
hop before
yeah,
above 50, above 40 though. And at that price point, they're
yeah,
low 7Ks. Like that. I don't know. Maybe I like them a little bit more than you, but maybe I like them a little bit too much.
yeah. It is just, it's messy is what it is now.
How much of a priority is Ivy right now?
So we just got updates on ownership and projections. Thank you to Tom for that. Jaden Ivey is coming in about 10%, and he's 7,600 on DK. I think that is a nice place to make a stand. I'm also curious about where McCain comes in. Now that he's on the bench, we have him down to 2%. I mean, if this is like a semi-ceremonial start for the other guy. Oh, Tom says he's not on projections. Oh, he was just dropping us news. I think Rich is on. Okay, well, shout out to Rich. Rich is probably too busy to be watching the show, but Tom keeps tabs on us because he wants to make sure we stay on the rails. And while I go off the rails, I get in all the reads, right? Promo code Thanksgiving and Black Friday. Promo code thanks gets you 75% off Odd Shopper, and Black Friday gets you 50% off any 1 month single sport package here at Stokastic. So thank you, Tom, for taking time to write that out. Hopefully he's lining up to win another million. You can't let Alex Baker get that far ahead of you. Come on, the rivalry is strong. When we look at all of this here, I'm starting to like Dinwiddie more because I think people are going to be afraid to go that particular path. So he's the guy I want to get into my lineups now that we've lost Cunningham. I think that money's going to push more people towards Giannis. We've still got the Golden State game, right? You've got and the Suns, you've got Curry, you've got Booker. Those guys could each get 50 fantasy points tonight. I mean, depending on who's in, who's out. They could also get mid-30s and torpedo you. This is going to be a really interesting night here as we get through a holiday Saturday. But I don't feel great about Tyrese Maxey, which is interesting. He's coming in as our second most popular play on DraftKings. Wow. Slate on its head with 6 minutes to go. Thank God I've got the tools.
Not gonna lie, we keep talking about Drummond versus Yabusele. They both look really good.
Yeah,
Man,
how much is that? Is the Detroit thing really weighing in now that you've let? I'm letting it me talk. I'm letting it starting to sway me as a, this could be. Put him down.
Not a ton for me. I just think he's right now still the better fantasy player than Yabusele, but maybe that's wrong.
I'm gonna look here and see.
What do you think about Keontae George? Is he a priority for you? You don't really like the Utah side.
Not really for George. I think he's redundant with Collins there. So no, I would say not particularly. Here we go. My filler arc. Hey, my filler arc. It says Maxey or Ivy.
Maxey for sure. I mean, if you have the price, if you have the money for Ivy. So Hardaway starting now, or no, Beasley starting now.
So Beasley starting. We didn't think. So that means
Beasley.
Trent off the bench yet again. So nothing to really worry about there. I think I'm just going to ride with. Do I go away from Jared McCain? You know what? I'm going to put Dinwiddie in, and I'm going to figure this out. All right. I'm punting. I'm fixing my Yahoo lineups. I'm going away from McCain. I'm going in with Dinwiddie to be different, and then I'm going to figure center out. But I'm skipping Drummond. So we'll see. That means I'm looking at. And let me get my Sims boost going here because we only got 4 minutes. I'm looking at.
Oh man, the other thing I like about Ivy, and I just have to get this out. I hate to cut you off. Yeah. Is people aren't going to play enough of Detroit right now.
Correct. Oh, this is going to be so much fun. I hope I get my entries in. 3 minutes to go. Here we thought we were going to have a nice sedate and slow Saturday. That is not the case.
Never is.
There's always some sort of foolishness and shenanigans that go on. Fortunately, make sure before I kick this off, I'm running the right contest set because we're going to be coming in hot, folks, here. This is the fun that you have when you've got the Sims because it is doing the heavy lifting for me. Plus, we've got the late swap feature. So I am really just going to but a fire, but it is far from a fire and forget for me, because we still have unknown news in the last two games. We don't know the Utah starting lineup, and we don't really know everybody who's going to be in or out for Golden State. We got the things shook up here in the early game, which means that there are some opportunities, because we are expecting some people to have less popularity than they probably ought to, considering that this, oh my God, there's only 2 minutes left, that this stuff all came out just so close to lock. The Cade news getting scratched was the big surprise, not so much for Martin, but getting Drummond starting. That was a bit of a twist there, but it brings into the whole Motown thing, the team where he spent the first portion of his career. They were the team that drafted him. So that could play a little bit in a long NBA season. We've seen it happen time and time again here and there. But of course, it's not always going to be the case. I am going to pick my top 100 lineups and just windmill slam these into place. Quick favorite, 100 export. This is the oh boy, I have a assload of Tyrese Maxey by doing it this way.
But, yeah, I mean, Maxey, I don't know what, like, he could fail, but like Maxey looks really, really good.
I want to get these in. I said I didn't like Maxey. There we go. Well, Wunderbar, that could be, egg on my face. If I right, then I've lost money, because I don't have time to make these adjustments. And if I'm wrong, then hey, I win cash, right? So, well, hopefully win cash. Crazy how the NBA does this to us. There were only 8 teams. There was only 1 game starting at lock, Matt. Yet here we are. Here we are.
It's insane. Marshall or Beasley?
Beasley. No, Marshall. Still Marshall. Marshall, Will, and Holly on a routine expedition. For my fellow olds, you'll remember that one.
I'm now playing so much of this first game. I hate it.
Yeah. How did that happen? Shout out to Rich. I hope it's Rich that's doing projections tonight. I was giving credit to Tom.
I think it is Rich. And shout out to 10-9-8-76ers. This is crazy. And we are at lock, fellas. So hopefully you got them all.
We are at lock. Chat was asking me, am I drinking a Malbec? No, I'm assuming Malbec is wine. Yes. I cannot stand wine, but all our friends that came over, my wife and our friends of the couple, our friend's wife, they belong to like 3 different wine clubs, and we've got boxes showing up all the time. I don't drink wine. I don't particularly like it, but my wife got something that makes slushies. So she made wine slushies and whatever. And whenever I drink wine, I have to take a nap. So between that and having 2 helpings of incredibly delicious ziti, I ended up having a 2-hour nap before football because I had 1 glass of wine. But there we are. So yeah, no wine for this guy. It's my wine days. Ernst and Julio Gallo, Boone's Hill, right? Strawberry, Boone's Hill. That's what all the girls liked way back in the day in college. Yeah.
Boone's Farm.
Yes. Strawberry Hill, Boone's Farm. That's what it was.
Strawberry Fields. Strawberry Hill Fields, Boone's Farm. And a weird thing that has nothing to do with basketball. We drank a bottle of that walking into the Eagles Stadium, me and my tailgate, for like 15 years. It became a tradition, and then we realized that it didn't work because we never won anything. We stopped doing it in 2017, and they won the fucking Super Bowl. Go figure.
All right. So here is a great story. Malachar says, EMac, you need the Mad Dog 2020. True story. This was a birthday thing. We would drink Mad Dog 2020 on my birthday. We would put it in paper bags because we were underage. We would sit in front of eternally on the curb like we were destitute, because we more or less were, and we would drink Mad Dog 2020. I think we did that 3 years in a row, and then the 4th year they got me something called Banana Red. It was the most foul. Like at that point, it's like, what was I even doing? The normal Mad Dog 2020 was adequate by the time you got halfway through. But they got me this Banana Red. And I was like, F that. We're just going to have beers. I'm drinking this swill. But there we go. That was my run-in with Mad Dog 2020 35 years ago. Haven't had it since. So there we go. With that, we're going to get on out of here. Thank you to producer Mike. Thank you to Matt for reuniting the dynamic duo here. Good luck, everybody in chat. We appreciate everything that you've done, hanging out with us on a Saturday night. Promo code THANKS gets you 75% off a 1-month Odd Shopper package. Promo code Black Friday gets you 50% off any single sport 1-month package at Stokastic. Follow us on Twitter at Stokastic_COM. With that, gamers.
And EMac, I have one thing. We don't normally have the hosts and playback on Saturdays, but I will put a game on and leave it live. I don't know how long it'll stay on, but you guys can kick it in there, and we appreciate you guys. Thanks.
Sounds good.